Hello everyone and welcome to DBF1. It's rounds 17 and 18 for the Spanish and Miami Grand Prix coming up for you tonight. We've got under 10 minutes on the board left in qualifying for the 25% race. It's currently Darky leading the way with a 12.8. We're watching Alistair Bay and he's coming round the final corner. What can the Season 3 champion do in hopes of making an indent to this? And he's not set a lap time there, so he might have been invalidated there. He must have been. It wasn't coming up on my screen. We'll see if any of the top runners are on a lap. I think Jess has just taken 3.5 tenths out of her time, which closes her up to Lewis, who's on the front row of the grid. CJ in fourth as well, so she's just overtaking CJ because CJ was second for a little while. Daniel P. Whelan, I think, is on a lap, not quite improving at the moment, but we'll stick with him and see what his split times will be. The Ferrari driver third in the standings at the moment. We'll quickly run through your top 10 as we watch Daniel finish off his lap. So CJ leads the way, 279 points, can win the championship tonight. He needs a few favours, but it can be done tonight. Lewis Craig in second on 250 exactly, and then it's followed by the man on your screen, Daniel P. Whelan at 214. Also on 214, Jordan. Jess is a bit further behind on 197. Casper is on 170. You've got Acorn on 144 with J.O. Max, Scottish Go on 144 as well. Jenga Boy on 136. And then Chris Johnson rounds out your top 10 on 110 points. Daniel calls it quits. He's coming into the pits. Jordan's on a lap on the mediums. We'll stick with the Williams and see what he can do. He'll obviously go very long on this first set like usual and then do one quick lap at the end of the session. And be the constructors. Racing Bulls leading the way on 398, that's CJH and Chris Johnson. Ferrari on 356. The battle is mainly between them. Obviously, the top five can still win it, but you'd expect Ferrari and Racing Bulls would be the two that might come out on top. Red Bull are a bit further behind on 282, with Williams on 267. Obviously, the Williams team picked up the constructors last season when the drivers drove for Haas, and then Alpine are on 250, which is Lewis by himself. So Lewis making a good account for himself, considering he's just by himself, whereas the other four teams ahead of him all have drivers every week, two drivers each week. Okay, so it's Darky leading the way. We'll see what Jordan can do. He's not been using the battery, so I don't think he's pushing too hard here. I think it's going to be the next lap he pushes on. Yeah, it's going to be the next lap. So we'll have a quick look for Lewis. He's improving by 0.2 of a second, as CJ has the support in the chat, so they're supporting CJ from obviously CJ's league. CJ can win the championship tonight. He's been very impressive all season, bar the opening 2 rounds. It can be done. He needs this man though, the Flying Scotsman, currently on the front row. He needs to have a disaster of a night for CJ to win. Obviously, Lewis not taking part next week. Lewis Craig on pole by just over 1/10 of a second provisionally, with over 6 minutes in the session. What can CJ do to count back to that? Lewis obviously needs the 6 points here. He needs CJ to have a disaster of a week for Lewis to have any chance of picking up the championship. Obviously, won't be here for the finale. Puts the ball into CJ's court. Obviously, Jess and Daniel and Jordan can still win it. Daniel and Jordan only need to pick up 2 points over CJ on the night tonight, whereas Jess needs to pick up 19. So a big ask for Jess to make that one come up. I don't think Jake is on a lap. I think Jake's just jumped up into 6th place. Baza, Jess's teammate, struggling for pace at the moment. 13.8. Obviously, Juan here at Spain last season, running out of fuel. CJ's actually on his lap, so we'll stick with CJ. He'll have another go after this one, so even if it is a bad lap, he's got an extra shot using none through the first part, and he'll stick on overtake to try and pick up a good first sector time. What will it be? 2.5 tenths up, so looking good from CJ. Number 75, 279 points, 3 race victories. It was almost 4, but obviously the penalty at Imola made him drop to 3rd. He's made that not cost him any places in the championship. He'll be hoping that come the end of the season it won't affect his place in first place in the Drivers' Championship. He'll obviously want to pick up the Constructors as well. Him and Chris have been doing good work, and he's quickest through Sector 2, and it's just under 0.4 of a second improvement for CJ here. This is going to be close to Darky and Lewis. Will it be enough to knock Lewis off first place. It might be enough to get him on the front row. Whether or not it's enough to pass Lewis, we'll have to wait and see. He'll open the DRS for a tiny wee extra bit of boost. What will it be for CJ? Only third quickest. Lost some time in that final sector. And Darky's actually round. He was 2 tenths up as well. That was a pole time for CJ, for Darky, sorry, coming his way. And it's dropped him down the order. The Ferraris, both starting their lap relatively close to each other, the Scuderia. I think they're going to be next to cross the line. We'll stick with Scottish Goat, who's the lead Ferrari. Alistair coming around the final corner in 13th. Not got a lap time on the board. Provisional pole from the Season 3 champion. Where does that come from? With just over 4 minutes to go in Spanish qualifying, Alistair Bain, 12.5. And just like he did last week, picking up pole position, second, a front row grid start, he's set the benchmark early to go with the final runs coming up. Will Alistair get another go? Possibly not. And well, does Lewis have another 2 tenths in the tank? Does CJ have another 5 tenths in the tank? And that's if Alistair doesn't get to go again. Scottish Goat is not improving. Daniel P. Wheelnut not improving also. The Ferrari's struggling here. Is anyone else on a lap? I think Jordan is on a time. We'll see what his split is. When he comes round the final corner, he's using the battery on those medium compounded tyres. Possibly not getting in the practice this week as much as he'd like. He'll come in, strap on a fresh set of softs and go quick. And that's it now. Baza first out. Obviously picked up the win here around Spain in Season 5, his first ever victory in Dive Bomb. And he's only done about 88 races, and he picked up 1 win. He ended the streak. And the driver that's just about done as many races as DBF1 have done, down in 11th place, 13.8, won't be too happy. But he's got clear road ahead. You'll want to avoid the traffic. Everyone will be coming out just around the next 10 to 20 seconds. It's the Welshman, part of the backbone and the furniture of the league. We'll see what he can do. He'll start his final lap in qualifying. It's his only track where he's picked up a win in the league. He'll brake as late as he possibly can, just before the 50 metre board on the left hand side, swooping through the right, avoids the curb on the left hand like most drivers, and he'll go now round the long swooping right hander. Try and avoid the curb on the left if you can. Baza does, takes a little bit of curb. He's improving just using a tad bit of the battery, gets down into medium as he comes back down the hill now. Brake late as possible can, fling the car into the left hand side, use all the curb on the entry, doesn't use much on the exit, does the Red Bull, and he's now coming to the big left and then right, avoid the sausage curb on the right, and then the blind turn 9, which is so dangerous if you get it wrong, but Baza gets it right. He'll open the DRS for 12 miles per hour extra speed down the back straight, swoops to the left hand side. The way they've done that corner on this game makes it very difficult to overtake around there now. It used to be okay for overtaking even with the new layout, but now with the redesign of the track, just kind of impossible to sink it down the inside there unless you're very close. And Baza will come round the final corner now. What will it be for the Red Bull? 8th quickest with everyone still to go. Baza won't be too unhappy with that, but he knows he can do better, and he'll just have to wait and see now what it's going to be. I think Deck is the next driver now. He is on a lap, whereas everyone else is on their out lap. He's picking up his 10th, which would put him ahead of Jake. Deck obviously on course to win the Dive Bomb 2 title tonight. I think he can do it this race if he picks up the 10 points that he requires. He'd be the DB2 champion. DB2 runs alongside Dive Bomb 1. Selected amount of drivers do compete in that, and he's actually found a purple sector 2. He's 6.5 tenths up here. This could be around about the second row of the grid for the Acorn here. Deck obviously picked up 2 Grand Prix wins in the past in Dive Bomb. Will it be a pole position as he comes round the final corner now? What will it be for Deck? 6th fastest. Drivers seem to be losing time in that final sector. They do. CJ lost a bit of time as well. So did Acorn. Jordan, is he the furthest driver round now? Nope, it's not Jordan. Who's closest to completing a lap? Alistair's invalidated, so he's not going to go any quicker. Lewis is coming up the hill, but I actually think it's just... No, it is Lewis. We'll stick with Lewis then. He's improving by 2.5 tenths. So Alistair, who's just invalidated his lap, this is his last opportunity, Lewis, to overtake Alistair again for the second week in a row in the short qualifying session. No, he's not done enough. It's 2 thousandths of a second. I think Darky's next, or is it Jess? Yeah, it's Jess. She's third quickest. She's not able to knock Lewis off, but Lewis not able to get ahead of Alistair Bain. Is Alistair, the season 3 champion, got enough in the tank now? Is that lap quick enough for pole? It's provisional at the moment. Darky is finding half a tenth. He needs at least 3 tenths. Around the final corner goes the man with the most poles in DBF1 history. Is it another pole here? No, it's not. CJH, is it a pole for him? Third quickest. He's on the second row of the grid. And it'll be 4 points coming his way. But it's Alistair Bain on pole. And that is your qualifying. The season 3 champion picks up 6 points and will start on pole 2 thousandths of a second quicker than Lewis Craig. He'll pick up 5, and he does what he needs to do. He's ahead of CJ. And the top two, the two Scotsmen, just a mile ahead of the field, almost 2 tenths to the championship leader, CJ. But it's Alistair on pole, followed by Lewis on the front row. CJH and Jess line up in the second row with Darky and Acorn on the third row. Jordan and Daniel P. Whelan at 7th and 8th, with Scottish got 9th, Baz at 10th, Jake 11th, Chris Johnson in 12th, Dark Shadow Kaya picked up the final place for the timed runners. Gamer James and Tony didn't set a lap, they're doing their risk race. So, we're 9 weeks into the season. If you don't know, where have you been? But Gamer James and Tony do not set a lap in qualifying. They start at the back of the field. And if they score points, which they should, because the points go down to the top 14, you will score double points. No one has been able to beat Lewis's record of P3, scoring 30 points in a race. In the risk race, obviously Lewis had the advantage of the safety car. But since the safety car rule has been removed in race 1, I think it is Darky and Scottish Goat, Jordan and Scottish Goat have the best times with picking up P5 in their risk race. And it is looking dry in Catalonia. In a few moments, when Baza gives the go-ahead in the chat, we'll get racing. The drivers will set their strategies, select the fuel loads, and get ready to go racing. This is it. 2 weeks to go. 4 races in this championship season left. Who will be the champion? CJ can win it tonight, but will it be enough with Lewis Craig not racing next season? Can he get the job done tonight? He needs a big, big performance to do that. And obviously he needs to outscore Lewis by 35 points. There is a bit of a run-up going into Turn 1. It's not quite as long as Mexico, but it is a big run-up. So you could be P3 where CJ's starting. That could be the best place to begin this Grand Prix. Get a bit of the slipstream. If Alistair or Lewis make a late lunge, stick it up the inside. CJ obviously has been good the whole season. Obviously, there was a bit of a downfall in the first 2 races, but we'll give that to race rust. And after that, there was no holding him back. And obviously, Alistair Bain picks up 6 championship points before the races even begin. Lewis Craig picks up 5, and CJ picks up 4, with Jess picking up 3. Deck picked up 1. Obviously, that doesn't affect his DB2. The DB2 is just win the race, and wherever you finish out of the 8 drivers in that is what points you score. So Deck can win a championship tonight. We'll keep an eye on DB2 as best we can, if there's no drama going on in the DBF1 championship hunt. But at the moment, Acorn in 6th on course for his first DB2 championship. Alistair Bain won it when it was the division. It wasn't just in DBF1, but we're on the grid now. It is 4 and 5 red lights. It's the 2 Scotsmen on the front row. Who will it be, Lewis or Alistair? It's lights out and away we go for the 17th time this season, and it looked like Alistair got a good getaway off the line there, but Lewis is coming at him side by side with CJ in the background as well, going to try and make a move. Down the inside goes Lewis. They're touching wheels, but Alistair hangs on to the position. Can Lewis defend from CJ? And Jess needs to make a move past these two drivers as quick as she possibly can. Lewis and CJ battling away. They're so close, but CJ yields the place, which is the correct thing to do. He's got a championship to think about now. He just needs to finish on the podium, and that would secure him in terms of Daniel, Jordan, and Jess, and then without Lewis being here next week, basically nullifies Lewis, and that would mean he's the champion. Do not do anything risky, but he got away well, CJ. And Alistair's made a mistake, and up the inside goes Lewis. He pounces up the hill. Alistair had a moment as CJ goes off in the background of your picture, and it allowed Lewis to sneak up the inside, and you didn't have to ask him twice. And with someone that needs 2 race wins tonight, he needs to get the moves done quick, and that is a fantastic start from Lewis. Alistair now on the mediums. Lewis, I believe, was on the softs. We'll get the tyres up when we begin the second lap of the race. But it's Lewis Craig now doing what he needs to do in first. Alistair second, CJ in third, with Jess in fourth. And Darky on the gravel there. And that might put him under pressure from the Ferrari. But we have to go back to the front. Is anyone looking to make a move? Not quite. It looks like it will be Darky and Daniel fighting away. But there's no downforce on that Mercedes, clearly, as the Ferrari can't get close. We'll get the tyres up for you now and see what everyone's running. So Lewis and CJH, the top two in the championship, on the softs. Alistair Bain on the mediums. Jess Ball on the mediums as well. We'll expect her to have a good run. Hoping to push her way up the field. She needs to get ahead of CJ. She's already made that 19 points turn into 20, so she needs everything she can possibly get. She really needs a miracle. We'll keep an eye on her. Obviously won the TGP2 championship that Dive Bomb produced for TGP Series a couple of seasons ago. She's looking to translate that into her first DBF1 win and first DBF1 title. Lewis Craig, though, managing the gap, 0.3 of a second now to Alistair. Lewis really needs to use those tyres while they have the advantage over Alistair. As a quick driver, Alistair, we know what he can do. Won the season 36 TGP2 championship. He won the season 3 Dive Bomb F1 championship. He's very experienced in all arenas of combat, and Alistair now sets the fastest lap. He's closing in on Lewis. We're on board with the Haas. He moves to the right hand side, and Lewis has got nothing to defend with there, and Alistair retakes the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix car. Number 11 doing a fantastic job in his return to Dive Bomb. CJ not losing these two. He's keeping them honest. He's 7 attempts keeping the DRS, and that might just be all he wants. Let them two battle ahead, and if I'm in the DRS, I can keep ahead of Jess, and that's me doing what I need to do for my championship. But if he sees an opening, you know CJ will go for it. Just has to think about that championship. Get the trophy sent to him and he'll be okay. The two Ferraris, 7th and 8th, they're thinking about their constructors. And with Chris Johnson in 9th and CJ in 3rd, they need to pick up a few more places here. I think that's a racing bull of Chris Johnson off in the background there, as we mentioned him. Dropping a wee bit now behind Baza. Baza doing a good job as well on those softs. Expected Baza and Red Bull to maybe play the team game in terms of Jess and giving her an opportunity. Thought Baza might go hard, go long, and maybe hold up the field. But then maybe Baza thinking, I've got the pace around Spain, and if I can use my pace that clearly led to me picking up a victory last season, I'll be using it to all of my advantage. Alistair sets another fastest lap of the Grand Prix and is starting to stretch his legs out front. 0.6 of a second now, that gap. And well, if he can get that form that he had in season 3, as CJ and Jess battling away now, and this is the opportunity for Jess. She needs to make it count. Darky's going to go up the inside, and maybe up the inside of CJ at the same time. That will turn to the outside. Surely CJH has the road to push him off, and he does. CJ hangs on to the place, and just when Jess thought she was going to pick up a position, she's dropped now to P5. This is not what she needs for her title hopes, and just as CJ it looked clean between CJ and Jess, but there was just a gap that sort of formed, and that allowed Darky up the inside. He's in the gravel there that's closing Jess up to him, but Jess not able to make the move there, and the Ferraris are pouncing as well. They're right on the back of this battle for P4. P3 basically is the podium battle here. Darky does have the time penalty. Baza as well is right on this fight. This is it, and Alistair's almost got 1 second on Lewis. CJ into the pits, I believe, yes. An early pit stop then for CJH. Does that give Lewis something to think about now? Does that give Jess something? Well, Jess is going to go long anyway in the medium. She has to. No safety car this race, so we're watching the Racing Bulls crew. They'll get those softs on and get a nice set of white compounded hards to the end for CJ now. He'll drop to the back of the field, but has clean air to push and use his pace, which is probably the quickest in the league, to his advantage. CJ now needs to use the undercut to his best of his ability, but not shoot the tyres to where he can't defend later on. We'll see what the strategy does for him. Alistair now almost a second ahead of Lewis Craig. Obviously Lewis's tyres will be starting to go off. CJ obviously coming into the pits. Maybe it's not the tyres going off. Maybe he's thinking, I don't want to be racing Darky. Obviously Darky, a very quick driver, and questionable tactics at sometimes compared to Jess, where you know what you're getting with Jess. She's very quick, but you know she's not going to make any moves that will run the risk of her DNFing the Grand Prix. And Jess now, with no DRS for Darky ahead, you'd imagine this move would be easy to make in the next few moments. She'll close the gap, she'll close and close and close, she'll move to the right hand side and up into, and she's made contact with Darky, and I'm not sure who would have been at fault there. It was a poor camera angle, but Jess doesn't seem to have any damage. It seemed Daniel P. Wheelnut picked up the damage behind. And devastating. This is not what you need when she needs a miracle for the championship already. I think Scottish Gold's gotten past Daniel, who does have damage. Baz is going to try to get past as well. Isn't quite able to do so as we're on board with the second Red Bull. And if Darky's in the wall there. Yeah, Darky's in the wall. Jason now promoted to third. I'm not sure if that was a spin or more contact, but Jess now is promoted to P3. She won't be too happy about the hit from Darky, but she needs to keep the head down and focus and think about the drama after the Grand Prix now. It's all about staying focused, going to the end. Lewis Craig, that tyres are well and truly gone for him. Yeah, he's coming in now. 3 seconds he's dropped behind Alistair. Alistair's picked up some fantastic pace. Darky, I think, retired on track, which is going to get him a qualifying ban for the next race. So we'll watch Lewis. Where is he in comparison to CJ? He's coming in now to get serviced. 10 laps or so, 11 laps on those mediums. Going to be a big ask. Now, where's CJ in terms of Lewis Craig? Round the final corner he goes. I think he was about a second back. How quickly did he get those tyres warmed up? And Lewis is ahead, yep. So Lewis into turn 1 now. CJ closing up. And now Lewis a lap or two later, and CJ might have got him. Alistair now started on the mediums, so he's obviously on his softs. He might get passed by Lewis and CJ. He had 3 seconds in his back pocket, so he does have at least a lap or two before he might need to think about he needs to overtake to win after his stop. Fantastic drive though from the returning Alistair. Obviously 2 disappointing results last week. Not played the game at all though, so was let off for it. Chris though in third. He's closing in on Baza now. Baza's tyres will be starting to fade away, and yeah, as you see, the soft runners all changing now. So 6 laps is kind of your 7 laps is kind of your waypoint on the softs. Oh, and Lewis has picked up a time penalty. 3 seconds going the way of Lewis, and that is devastating for him. Oh, and CJ's picked up a 3-second time penalty. Oh my goodness, what are the two doing? They're both trying not to win the title. So that kind of saves Lewis's bacon and kind of nullifies his penalty in terms of CJ. They're just battling for positions now. In terms of Jess and Alistair, Alistair's so far ahead, I think. That screws Lewis on the win. CJ's about 2.5 behind on older hard tyres as well. You'd imagine Lewis shouldn't be struggling any point soon in terms of CJ. At the moment, Jordan though chasing down Chris. He went for the hard. He only started in 10th place. No qualifying points. Disaster for Jordan. Obviously we heard in the Williams pre-race interview that Jordan's not touched the game since last race. So it's going to be a long night ahead for him. but he might be able to sneak ahead of CJ and keep this title hunt going. He was obviously the favourite coming into the season. It's kind of not kind of fallen that way, but he's ahead now of CJH's teammate who didn't fight it too hard. I think Chris is just kind of hanging on now and hoping that this is going to fall to him to get a good result. Tony and James have now boxed. And that's the softs for Tony. Big ask to get the softs to go that distance, but we'll see. And double points on for him at the moment. And as we think, actually, speaking of the Dive Bomb 2 title, we'll go quickly to that. Acorn does pick it up with a victory. Whether or not he picks it up with Kaya and Chris ahead of him, though, is a different story. And obviously the drivers behind are doing the undercut on him at the moment. It might not be a slam dunk that it gets done tonight. It might go to the final week, but we'll have to see. Acorn, after his first 10 races, was placed in the DB2. And he won't be put in the DB2 next season, regardless if he wins it or not. We want him to find that race-winning form of Season 5 again. If he can. There you go, Deck into the pits now. Scottish Goat, though, right on the back of Jess. Not come into the pits where his teammate has. Ferrari making the call for Daniel to go long. Which Ferrari have done a lot this season. If you look statistically, Scottish Gold usually goes long in the first stint and comes out and does a short stint on the softs, and Daniel kind of does the opposite. Worked more in Daniel's favour this season, but Daniel down in 13th is not really working for him so far in Spain. Scottish Goat, though, closing the gap now to Jess, gets it to about 4 attempts. Can he close enough to make the move into P2? Obviously CJ and Lewis behind, closing that gap every lap with their fresh rubber. Scottish Goat, though, just someone you love to see driving, someone you love to see doing well. He was not the quickest when he first joined the league. But that second phase of Season 5, he just found some form in the Alpine and did everything in his power to get good results. Picked up a few podiums, and that got him that move to the Scuderia Ferrari. The promotion from Alpine to Ferrari was one that he was very happy with, and he'll be hoping he's done enough to keep that seat. Obviously his teammate Daniel Pibion confirmed Aston Martin next season alongside Lewis Craig. Very strong pairing. Jess obviously ahead of him. She's confirmed for the Red Bull next season alongside Acorn down in 14th place, but looking to pick up the DB2 title. He's going to pick up the Red Bull promotion after 2 seasons in the Aston. We know Wace is going to McLaren along with Casper. Plenty of driver action coming your way in the next few weeks as well, with the season beginning January 7th in 2026. And obviously only Tier 1 drivers have been announced. We're waiting to see if there will be a second division. So if you're looking to sign up, make sure you message the X or find the Discord on the Facebook. Plenty of driving opportunities, and now we have Jess and Scottish Goat in the pits. Lewis Craig has passed Dark Shadow. And yeah, Lewis and CJ will get past these two. It's whether or not these guys can close up and pass them. That is hard, I believe, on the Ferrari. Which would be a questionable decision at best. Jess is on the softs, I believe. Close to, yeah, Jess is on the softs. Yeah, hard on that Ferrari, and he needs to stay ahead of Baza here, who's on fresh mediums. This is crucial in terms of the Grand Prix and the Constructors. Red Bull are in third in the Constructors and Ferrari in second. This is crucial moments in terms of the Constructors Championship. Baza needs to make this move. Scottish Goat needs to fight it, but it's going to be Baza around the outside. What a move from the DBF1 legend to get ahead of the Ferrari. And it was just 1 lap too long. Or the wrong tyre strategy choice from Ferrari. They've put him behind. Baza on the quicker rubber, doesn't need to do heat up, and he's ahead now. It's only 1 lap difference, and with 5 laps to go, won't really matter for that. Alistair Bain in the pits now. Red Bull, wonderful strategy call. Great driving from Baza as well to get ahead. And Alistair in the box, fresh set of softs. If he stays ahead of Lewis, which might not actually happen here, he could be on for the fastest lap as well. Where is Alistair? He's out ahead of Lewis, is he? Lewis can see him, but it's not enough. Alistair Bain on course to pick up another race victory in Dive Bomb. Dark Shadows not boxed has just been passed by CJ, and Jess now is ahead of CJ in terms of CJ's penalty. She's within a second, and with Baza ahead, that's total dropped Scottish Goat. Yeah, Kaya getting out the way of Jess, so that, you know Kaya's doing good in this race, but not as good to be involved in this top race for the podium. But he's doing a good job, Kaya, and then hopefully he boxes soon and no damage comes out of that. But now 4 attempts back. Does CJ now think in terms of the championship? She's going to get ahead of me anyway with my time penalty as they come up the hill, swooping right under the dirty, turbulent air, just causing the Red Bull to slide left where Jess doesn't want the car to go. And if CJ just yields here and thinks, I've got a championship to think about, she's going to pass me anyway with my time penalty. Jess obviously hasn't picked up a penalty all season, I believe. I think as CJ goes deep, maybe letting Jess go in terms of wanting the DRS, and that was sneaky from CJ if that's what it was. A bit of DRS chicken going on around Catalonia. We've seen that before. He'll open the DRS now. We're on board with the Racing Bulls, and he's not close to Jess. Didn't use the battery either. Maybe that wasn't DRS chicken. Maybe that was just letting Jess go, knowing that I'm not going to get ahead of her anyway. And maybe with the mediums, the soft rubber, maybe she's got the pace to close 2.7 on Lewis and get him within Lewis's penalty. And that obviously helps CJH in the championship as well. Not helping Lewis gain as many points on him. Scottish Goat now down the inside of Kaya on those hards. And he's just not got the traction to seal the deal here. He does. He pushes Kaya wide, which he's entitled to do, and he's done a good job, Scottish Goat, to get past. But this battle with Baza has just killed him. 4 seconds now. It's 5 seconds adrift on Jess. And sitting, it looked like a potential podium. And Baza as well, doing fantastic. He's in 5th. I think that's just a natural position because he started on the soft, as Alistair does set the fastest lap. Baza, who picked up the win here with obviously the pace cap last year. No pace cap this year. He just has pace around Spain. Very quick. In 5th as well. And on course for his first win in Dive Bomb 2. Looking like a good result from Baza. He just needs to keep going. Hang on to Scottish Goat behind. Scottish Goat is coming for him. Tony, is this going to be passed by his teammate? Will Tony fight it too much? Not quite as much as you would have thought. Double points coming Tony's way, of course. In DBF1, not in DBF2. Chris Johnson behind as well will want to make this move in terms of his championship hopes, are coming second in the championship. But Tony defends brilliantly. That allows him to stay ahead as CJ picks up another penalty. That drops him behind Baza and behind Scottish Goat, who picks up a penalty himself. Oh, he was on course to pick up a place, and CJ, now it's dripped away. Baza on course for a P4 here. Just needs to keep going, not drop or pick up a penalty. 1.8 seconds now, and Baza's on for a P4. Red Bull looking to take a haul of points away from Ferrari and away from Racing Bulls. And the team in 3rd and the constructors didn't look like they might be able to win, but Spain has fallen their way. And the rumour around the paddock is that Miami is a track that suits the Red Bull car as well. Here comes Scottish Goat though, closing the gap to the Red Bull. Baza doesn't defend it too much now. That Scottish Goat has the penalty. 5.2 is the gap to CJH, and CJ, if he doesn't want to drop a place, needs to find some pace here. The 3 seconds was nullified, but it's come back to bite them. Jordan actually is right on the battle here as well. Jordan on the softs, looking to pass Baza, and then obviously in turn Scottish Gold, so he can get ahead of CJ. That would help him in his championship hopes. He needs 2 points on CJ. And Baza, yeah, not able to hang on. He knows Jordan's quick. And when he's in the title fight, there's nothing much you can do. Maybe Jordan can drag Baza along as well, and they could both get CJH. Chris Johnson as well, not too far behind, but Tony not too far behind as well. CJ could drop some places here. And I think Alistair's just begun, he's just begun his final lap. 1 to go in Spain. And Alistair's dominated. He goes past by Lewis, and it looked scary for a few moments, but he got past. And he's never looked back. Scottish go now. Will he defend from Jordan? Nope. Jordan up into 5th. And I think he's 5 seconds back now. So as it stands, he gets CJ. So does Baza. And Chris is just not close enough to pick up a place as well. And you think Chris would probably slow down as well to allow CJ to keep that place. What a battle through the midfield we've had though in the second stint. It's been great to watch. And Jordan has sliced his way from 10th to 5th. And with 4.8 the gap to CJ, he's keeping his title hopes alive. Not in the title this year. He's been a champion before. He's got 5 dive bomb wins to his name. He's going to make that 6. Around the final goes Alistair Bain to win in Catalonia. And it'll be followed closely by Lewis Craig. Comes home in 2nd. Jess Games, is she close enough to Lewis to steal his penalty? Not quite. CJ rounds that final corner for 4th provisionally. Will it be 4th or will Jordan sneak 4th? Jordan does. Scottish Goat only going to manage 6th. Baza misses out by 4 tenths on CJH. Chris Johnson in 7th. Tony in 8th with double points. Scottish Goat, his penalty dropped into 9th. He'll be heartbroken with that. Jake in 10th with Daniel P. in at 11th. He kind of faded away with the early pit stop. James in 12th. Acorn in 13th. Kaya was 14th, I believe, there. And then Darky was the only non-finisher. Jordan actually started 7th, not 10th. That's my mistake. So Jordan didn't pick up as many places as I believed. But that man on the top step of the podium again. Alistair Bain. We're going to have to get the day statistic out again. How many days has it been since Alistair Bain picked up a race victory in dive bomb? On the top step once again, and that will mean the absolute world to him to pick up the win and finally get back on the top step and feel the champagne. Jess did well again to pick up 3rd. Lewis Craig did what he needed to do in 2nd. Didn't quite have the pace to match Alistair over the full Grand Prix. But what a fantastic drive it was. 2 Scotsmen, they started 1st and 2nd, they finished 1st and 2nd. We ran through your grid already, so we won't do it again. We'll take a few minutes now. We'll let the heads cool, the hands get a wee bit of a stretch, and halftime oranges await. Baza is going to get this session re-going again. It is one-shot qualifying, 35% race coming around Miami. I will see you in a few moments. So we're back for one shot quality around Miami. Can't make any mistakes, otherwise we're going to be back of the field. Just setting a lap time sometimes is the best way to go. But we'll see who will be on pole this time. Will it be Alistair, Lewis, CJ, Jess, or will we see someone different on top of the timesheets? Round 18 of 23 to go. Lewis closes the gap to 20 points. Jordan closed the gap on CJ as well. Daniel now looking like it's going to be over for him in terms of the championship. Jess closed the gap, but might not be enough. We will watch Jess on her lap though. We'll see what she can do around Miami. The rumour around the paddock this week has been that Red Bull do favour this track. The car suits them. The grip is well, but we're on board now with Jess as she comes through the first sector. We'll see as she goes round. The swooping left-hander doesn't take any curb on the left, takes curb on the right, and just letting the car glide its way through this beautiful section of racetrack. Avoid the bumpy curbs if you can't use all of the battery you dare to on this straight before the back straight. And this is where you're going to see plenty of overtakes in the Grand Prix. 20 laps around this 35% race. Obviously the opportunity of red flags and safety cars as Jess now comes in to the stadium-like section, swooping right-hand corner where the car is just burning its left front wheel. Now do not clip the ball on the left and you'll be okay. Round this 90-degree corner, and now DRS and battery down the back straight. Plenty of overtakes going to come on this part of the track as well. And you'll see just the car full power, 200 miles an hour, brake as late as you can, swoop left. It's not been the cleanest of laps, but it looks quick for pole as she comes round the final few corners. Is it pole position for Jess Ball? It is. Fantastic lap, and we got every moment of it. And well, we mentioned it earlier in the night, but the car suits the Miami circuit, and Jess has clearly been putting the practice in. Obviously got W1 league coming up soon for her, doing a fantastic job in that. Creator series as well. Jess on pole though in dive bomb. Lewis Craig in second, Alistair Bain in third with Jordan at fourth, Daniel P. Whelan at fifth. CJH down in sixth place, another poor one shot 2 weeks in a row, only 1 point in qualifying for him as well. Acorn in seventh, Jake in eighth, Scottish Goat ninth with Chris Johnson 10th, Baza in 11th on the mediums, Tony in 12th with James and Dark Shadow not setting a lap, and Darky didn't rejoin the session, so he won't be racing. And over a tenth of a second between the Red Bull and the Alpine. And we'll have a few moments before we get going in the race. Obviously Baza will give the go ahead in the chat. Don't want to be handing out any starting early penalties, and obviously if it does start early there'll be no restart in the lobby, it will just go. But I mean, you will receive a penalty if you start the session before Baza says so. It looks dry at the moment, but we'll see if that changes. Looks gloomy but dry at best. Overcast conditions, tire temperatures might be okay. They might not overheat as much in the clouds. We're just gonna have to wait and see. This is it though. Lewis Craig's final hope. It's his final race this season. Daniel P. Whelan needs a massive result here to keep his title hopes alive. Jordan just needs to finish within a point of CGH to keep it going. But it's Jess and Lewis on the front row of the grid. We've not said that many times this season. It's lights out and away we go. And it's a good start from the Red Bull. Does the Haas have a good start as well? Alistair gets clipped a wee bit by the Ferrari behind. That might allow Jordan to sneak up the inside. CJH has dropped down to 8th place off the start there. But Jess gets away well. Lewis is doing okay in second. Alistair hangs on to third. Jordan ahead now in fourth. Daniel P. Whelan in fifth. Good start for him. Scottish Goat is battling away with Acorn. Looks like Acorn's going to get ahead. CJ dropped 2 places down to 8th, but is on the hards. Might sort of be the reason for that, you'd imagine. As you see the strategies on the bottom of your screen, we'll get the tyres up on lap number 2 when all the chaos calms down. And here comes the Ferrari now of Scottish Goat. He swoops to the right hand side. Will that allow him to get past Acorn into the heavy braking zone? Not quite, but Acorn goes deep in Scottish Goat. There's going to be no room out there for you to make the move. And yeah, he's going to have to settle for 7th now. And with CJ behind, the championship leader in 8th place, only 6 points coming in. Sorry, 7 points coming his way, with Jess picking up 25 at the moment. This is enough for Jess to keep the championship fight going. The miracle she needs is happening around Miami at the moment. But you'd imagine CJ will fight back and should be able to make a few overtakes on the hards as well. They'll come into their own later on in the stint. Scottish Goat did get past Acorn there on the screen. Jordan already 1 second behind as the top 7 on mediums, CJ on hards, Jake and Darky on the hards as well. Sorry, Kaya on the hards as well. But this is crucial. Jess finished 4 points ahead of CJ, so she's got an opportunity here. CJ looked like to cut the corner there. That's a warning going the Racing Bulls driver's way. Of course, you can use 2 to your advantage, and a 3rd one, though, you're going to get a time penalty. Daniel Piuil on the back of Jordan here. Mediums versus mediums. Ferrari versus Williams. And it looks like the Ferrari driver up a place. And CJ as well up the place on Acorn, but he shoots it deep, and that allows Acorn to come back through. Will there be the space, though, for Acorn? Yes, there is. And CJ having to settle for 8th, with Jake just behind as well now coming into the fray. This is looking tight. Alistair on the back of Lewis Craig, DRS this time around. But Jess will have to defend as well. Close between the front three. Jess has the confidence around Miami. And she needs to. If to keep her title hopes alive, she needs, realistically, to pick up her first race victory of the season here. CJ now passes Acorn and should be ahead now. Well, watch out front, though, just because of how close it is. Looks like it's settled down. Acorn, is he going to close up on CJH? Does close up, but doesn't look like to make the move. That looks like it's CJ's position now in 7th place. And one with 2-time race winner Deck, that'll be one CJ's happy with now. Can he go chase down the Ferrari 2 seconds back after the squabble with the Aston? Big drive coming CJH's way. Can he get it done? If there's anyone in dive form you'd imagine that could get it done, it would be him. We'll see later on in the night, though. Out in front, Jess leads the way. 4 attempts to Lewis. Lewis with the rear wing of that Alpine Open. Closing and closing and closing. He moves to the left-hand side, just letting Jess know he's there. And Alistair just keeping an eye on things, so that if there is a moment to pounce, he will. And CJ and Deg are battling again. Deg ahead again. No DRS for CJ for assistance, allowing Acorn to close up the gap. And with the 2 big long straights as CJ clips the wall. No damage on the Racing Bull, though. CJ struggling at the moment in the midfield. Jake is right on him as well with his teammate Chris Johnson. This might just be what Jake needs, as Jess now has been passed for the lead by Lewis into one of the final couple of corners. Action happening all throughout the field, and Lewis has had a bit of a moment out front, and that might allow Jess to sneak back ahead. No, Lewis keeps on it at the moment, going to go defensive. Jess is trying to figure out where Lewis is not going to place his car, and Alistair's going to try sneak round the outside, but he's pushed off wide, and Alistair wasn't quite able to make the move there. And I tell you what, Jordan within a second now, Scottish Goat within a second now, CJ and Acorn almost 3 seconds back on this train. Anyone in the top 6 can win this Grand Prix. 3 races for him, and you've got the 3 at the back, the midfield, which is kind of Acorn to Tony, and then you've got the front 6 as Daniel drops now out of DRS on Alistair. Jess is looking like to make a move on Lewis. She needs to try and get back past and not allow Alistair to sneak up the inside, and it looks like Alistair's going to go for it. He is. They're side by side through the stadium section, but just Jess has enough And that's pushing Lewis a second out. Jess, this is not what she needs. No TRS to defend from Alistair. And the 2 cars behind her as well. This is allowing Acorn to catch back up. Critical moments in Jess Game's season. And she's been passed by Alistair now. Chris is past Jake. Looks like CJ's going to be past Acorn this time. Yep. Acorn's fighting it though as much as he can. Will he have enough here to get past? No, not enough. Daniel's closing on Jess. Jess struggling. She's fallen away in this phase of the race. Daniel, she's just lost the momentum that she had. Or is there damage on that front wing? No, there's not damage, I don't believe. There is a yellow flag in sector 3, but Kaya's retired in the pit lane. 1.2 now the gap to Lewis Craig between Alistair and himself. Jess is trying her best, but the gap's 1.2, and Daniel now is looking to steal the podium away from Jess. The miracle of CJ down in 7th place, 2.6 back, came her way, and she was leading for multiple parts of this race, but it's just falling away from her as Daniel gets ahead, and now Jordan might try to sneak around the outside. It will turn to the inside, and Jordan yields the place. From 1st place to 4th in only a couple of laps. Needs to try and find some momentum. CJH now is closing on these guys as well. Needs to stay ahead of Acorn. Acorn is making his race extremely difficult, but this might be it now. It might be a done deal. And it looks like it is. 9 tenths now the gap between 7th and 8th. And if CJ can keep that gap when they get DRS, it shouldn't affect them too much. And he looks settled in 7th now. Jess hasn't lost too much time to Daniel, so she looks okay. Just getting back into the rhythm. Trying to get back past. Alistair's now within DRS on the race leader, Lewis Craig. Lewis Craig, also another driver in the championship fight, needs the win here to put him ahead of CJ if it was to go to count back. Not enough though at the moment for Lewis. Well, 2nd in the win actually. Yeah, that might be enough, but you need CJ to kind of DNF in both races next week. With that, as you see, the drivers, how much they've got to turn the wheel, use all the muscles to get through that tricky part of the track. And Jess now's dropped a 2nd to Daniel and might be in trouble to Jordan. Jordan looking like he's not going to make the move here because Jess is going defensive and Jordan's just kind of hanging back. Jordan may be knowing that with CJ behind, that confirms he'll be in the title hunt next week. He'll need a miracle next week to win the title, but he'll be in it again for the 2nd season running. Daniel P. Wheelnut on the podium. But with such a bad race at Catalunya, I think his title's gone unless he can win here. But even down in 7th place, things are falling CJ's way in terms of the championship. Alistair's right on the back of Lewis now. 6 tenths is the gap between the top 2. And if Alistair wins both races tonight and Lewis can't pick up the win, with Lewis missing next week, that's kind of his championship over. CJ now passes Scottish Goat and up into 6th place. Finding a bit of form now after that battle with the Aston earlier on. Very close to the back of Jordan and Jess now is CJH. The driver's not taking advantage of his poor quality and poor race start. Had a poor quality as well at Brazil, but came back to win the race. Chris Johnson looking to make a move on Acorn now. And he does. A driver that's wanting to kind of match his tally of last season points, as Daniel Pibiona in the pits early again. Hards for Daniel, you'd imagine now. Yep, they are. Decking as well. So Daniel going long, wanting an undercut. 2 seconds behind Alistair, could pay off. And now CJH within 5 tenths of Jordan. Jordan picked up 2 points on CJH in the last race. He needs to finish 2 points ahead of him tonight. Otherwise, it's good night on his title hopes. Possibly even 3. I think CJ's quali points in the last race actually nullify the race result. Quali's important as well in Dive Bomb. Obviously, quali important in real life F1. But with 6 points available in qualifying, it's crucial you qualify in the top 6, and that might mean that Jordan doesn't extend the championship battle to the finale. Alistair now closing Lewis Craig down. Has he got enough speed to make the move? Not quite. CJ and Jordan battling away around the final corner. Lewis calls that day in the pits. Jordan pits as well. And CJ now is right on the back of Jess. And this puts the nail in the coffin on Jess Game's title hopes. Fantastic season she's had. And unfortunately, the good pace in quali, the good pace at the beginning of the race has just fallen away from her. Maybe needs a fresh set of rubber soon. Just not gone the Red Bull driver's way. And you feel for her. Arguably the most consistent driver we have in Dive Bomb. Commentated for us last season in Season 5 when we had the pace cap. Didn't have the driver kind of retention that we'd like with the pace cap in place. We brought back the quick drivers. She did the business, unable to win a race so far. We'll be hoping she picks up a race win between now and the end of the season. But yeah, that opportunity of a title, with missing a race week as well, you kind of understand why she's not completely in it. But she's on for another good result. And we'll just keep an eye on her and hope she can make some good moves. As Acorn and Scottish Goat are battling away. It looks like Acorn got ahead. For the time being, both on fresh rubber, they've made their stops. Ali B, Alistair Bain in the pits. He'll be the pit stop we watch. Mediums, 10 laps to go. Will the softs go the distance? Well, Alistair doesn't think so. He's going to hards. And obviously Lewis stopping the lap prior. Alistair just covering him off so he's not too far ahead. As Lewis now regains the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. Daniel P. Wheelnut is actually ahead of Alistair as well, yeah. The undercut from Daniel has worked a treat. He's now up into a net P2. Ferrari man has found some pace here at Miami. Driving around Hard Rock Stadium of the Miami Dolphins in the NFL. They've got about the same structure as the Ferrari do. Scottish Goat though. Acorn who's dropped behind Baza. Is Acorn close enough to make a move here on Baza? Not quite. Alistair 6 tenths back on Daniel P. Wheelnut. Will it be close enough to make a move down the back straight with the help of DRS? He'll get the gap close and then maybe a wee help of battery down the start-finish straight may allow him to sneak up into 6th place on the road, a net P2. Jess in the pits now, she's called it a day. So, CGH leads the way. Still to stop, of course. The top three still to stop. Lewis leads the way, 1.8 to Daniel. Alistair's dropped to about 7 tenths behind as Lewis passes Tony. And Tony knows not to fight that one too much. Lewis would have been worried with Alistair's pace in Spain. It's not translated to Miami at the moment, but Alistair's actually right on the back of Daniel P. Wheelnut here. This is for P2, a net P2, and Alistair gets ahead. 1.7 now behind Tony, 1.8 behind Lewis. Can Alistair get up to Lewis and pass him and take 2 wins in a row? Not in the title fight, of course. Has no allegiance to anyone in the league. He's now going to try to get past Tony as Alistair, and then Lewis Craig is in his sights. And that would be his 7th race win if he can win this race. And that'll put him up into 3rd all time, only behind Lewis Craig and the Mean Green Bean. Lewis Craig, if he picks up this win, that is 9, I believe. Possibly. Alistair sets the fastest lap. It might actually be 10, which would make him only the 2nd all time to be in double digits. We've had no safety cars as well, even with 2 DNFs. And Chris leads the way. Still to stop, of course. We'll remove the tyres just because they're a bit in the way. We will see CJ's H tyres. We'll have a quick look at him when we are done with Lewis Craig on Chris Johnson. Imagine this will be a slam dunk move around the right hand side. He goes of Chris, and Chris is not giving it up. Battling away is Chris. Obviously teammates of CJH doing what he can to slow Lewis down and put him in the path of Alistair, and he's done a good job of that. Alistair now within DRS on lap 12. Fading away was Alistair though on the back straight before the DRS opened. Daniel P. Wheelnut not dropped by these two as well. So Daniel P. Wheelnut doing a good job of hanging on. And he's had some good pace since that week break we had in the middle of the season as Chris comes in now to the pit lane. Daniel, yeah, 1.4. If Lewis and Alistair start battling, Daniel could mount a challenge for the win here. CJH, what tyres is he on? Mediums, obviously went hard mediums. Got Jess behind, not too far behind is Jess on the hards. Might not be able to pass, but she'll be close. They're chasing down Jordan. This is it for Jordan. He must finish ahead of CJ, regardless. But if it's 4th and 5th, sorry, I believe that is the 2 points Jordan needs to extend his championship. But he would basically need 2 retirements next week. Daniel is now starting to drop from the top 2. Jess isn't quite within overtaking distance on CJ. But with the no DRS affecting CJ still in this race. Had some good pace once he got back in the DRS. But at the moment he's just struggling. He might be able to get close to Jordan, but with Jess on the DRS here, she might be able to get past. But someone that's looking to get past Alistair closing the gap. Closing and closing the gap now. And if Lewis doesn't win this race, that would seal his championship hopes and eliminate him from contention. He's hanging on though for the moment. Jess wasn't able to get past CJ either. She's actually dropped. Jake is on the back of Chris, but Chris has fresh rubber compared to everyone on the field. And Chris is hanging on at the moment. Got some good pace, Chris, tonight. 2 top 10 finishes coming his way. Good job for him. I don't think there's any battle. I think it's the Jake and Chris battle, CJ and Jess, and then the battle out front, Lewis and Alistair. We'll keep an eye on it. He's closing now with the DRS. Using it to his advantage. The top two doing great job in both races tonight. And obviously, with Alistair back in the league at the moment in Season 6, is that a sign that he's interested in Season 7? What team will offer him a backload of cash to get him signed for the cockpit next season? The pace he's shown in Canada, and tonight you'd imagine all the teams that have seats available will be calling Alistair Bain 06 after tonight's Grand Prix. And with the DRS open, not quite closing enough to pass Lewis here. But is he setting up the move to get it done on the start-finish straight? He'll get an extra helping of the DRS, but the start-finish is just so short that you're not able to make the move. And you have to sit behind. Is Jess going to be close enough? No, she's 9 tenths back. Fading away from Jess, unfortunately, this title. She needed a miracle. CJ in 5th is kind of a miracle in itself, and in 5th in the last race. That's what she needed. She needed him to be 4 for lower in both Grand Prix, but it kind of required 2 race wins tonight. And unfortunately for Jess, the cookie hasn't crumbled her way. It's crumbling this man's way. CJ almost DNF'd in Spain, but he's done enough. And someone for 2 fifths will probably not be his standard. He'll be disappointed. But whatever gets the job done for CJ at this point in the season. And he is closing up now to Jordan to kind of hopefully try and eliminate Jordan from contention of the championship. And this is it. He can win the title tonight, obviously. Of course, Lewis could mathematically... Oh, and CJ clips the wall there. Was that lag, though? I think it was, because he's closed in so much to Jordan. And Alistair has passed Lewis there on the back straight. We missed that. Sorry, Alistair. We'll hop back quickly to this battle, though, of CJ and Jordan. Is he going to be close enough, CJ, to make the move? Not quite, so we'll go back to the front of the field. No room to make the move there. Jordan trying to hang on from CJ, but CJ looking to move to the right-hand side. Get down the inside, use the road around the outside, and Jordan, this is it for the championship, basically. There isn't enough left, and with 4.5 laps of racing, it looks like the championship's heading to Racing Bulls. It's heading to England. Looks like CJH is going to pick up the championship here. Lewis really needed the win and a couple of DNFs next week. But this solidifies that Lewis won't overtake CJ in the championship tonight. And we know he's definitely not going to be here next week, so the championship can be crowned. Monza wasn't going his way. 2 pit stops. A safety car saved him. Spain didn't go his way. Almost put it in the wall on his own. Miami, he'll be happy with 4th, but it hasn't gone his way in terms of the constructors. The constructors' battle has halted him. Ferrari's defending him, Aston's fighting him, the Red Bull's fighting him. But he's doing everything he can to get this done tonight. Wouldn't have been the way he wanted it done. He would have wanted to pick up a couple of race wins. He'll want to get himself fully cemented in that top 10. And at the moment it's going to be Ali Bain as Acorn and Chris battling away for 7th. Chris, that would be a lovely move if Chris can make it. Looks like he has. What a move that is from Chris Johnson. Round the outside. That is lovely from car 93. And for someone only in his 2nd season to dive bomb, that's a fantastic move. And that might put him in a bit of danger come the next moment when the DRS is open. But it's fantastic driving from the pair of them. And yeah, just like we mentioned, The DRS going to help Akon get back ahead. Goes very deep though, does Deck. But he's okay. Not in any danger of losing the place there. Keep an eye on it though through the next few moments. They'll go back down the back straight. They'll open the DRS as their moves further ahead happening. Jess is closing, Jordan's closing on CJ, but not enough to make the move there. This might be enough for Chris to make the move on Deck. And this is for the win in Dive Bomb 2. Yeah, this is the two highest runners in Dive Bomb 2. Chris yet to win a Dive Bomb 2 race. And he's up in first place in Dive Bomb 2, 7th as well. Good haul of points all around. And Deck, wanting to win the championship tonight, might still, but he's in danger of that not happening. It might go to the penultimate week. Tony as well in third. Tony will close the gap. Chris is closing the gap. Deck might have to put a last few weeks masterclass on to win the Dive Bomb 2 title. Danny wheeling it though, fully cemented on this podium again. His good form, bar Spain, since the halftime break of the season has been fantastic. Obviously wasn't too happy with 13th at Spain. And he's obviously picked up the voted driver of the day the last 2 weeks in a row. CJ 4 seconds behind and Lewis 6 seconds ahead. Sort of stops him having any chance of moving up or down with 2 laps to go once he crosses the line. Deck and Chris are still battling away, are they? Yeah. Deck tried it down the inside, but Chris hanged on, and then the gap now starting to form fairly massively between the pair. It's looking like it's going to be over a second. DRS will take it back down to around 6/10 as they get on the start-finish straight for the 19th time. Another great week of racing. Had a great Spain. It was a great Miami. It's sort of kind of fallen away from us. The gaps and the pace and the tyres now, it's sort of gone into that nullified state where the race is over in terms of moves. Lewis Craig was doing well in terms of Alistair, but Alistair has just found that pace now. That just makes him such a threat. And with Casper in the league next season, this is the Alistair Bain we need to see week in and week out. If anyone's got a chance of winning the championship against Casper, it's probably only him at the moment. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll be hoping to get likes of Mean Green Bean back as well. Quick drivers that we've had in the past. Love to see them make a return. But Alistair at the moment just in a league of his own. And this is with only 1 week of practice under his belt. As he starts the final lap in Miami. 1 to go in the United States of America. Can Jordan get back past CJH? This is it. Now for Jordan, his season rests on the 20th lap of the Miami Grand Prix here. This is it. CJ basically champion. If Jordan doesn't get past, he won't be mathematically champion. But with Lewis not racing next week, it will put the nail in the coffin for the chasing pack. Daniel Piwilna in third after the 13th in Spain. It's not enough anymore. He's out. Jess is out. Lewis Craig is closing the gap again by 6 points. And then I think it will be 4 points in quali, so another 10. That takes the championship down to 10 points between CJ and Lewis. But with CJ racing and Lewis not next week, it's just impossible for him to win. And Jordan now, he's running out of time here. He's got one more opportunity really to make it stick and have an opportunity, but he's clipped the wall there on the left, I heard, and it might be that. It might be good night Vienna for him in the hopes of the championship. But the man that has come back, and he had a poor week last week in his return, has set the tone for what's to come. It's another win for Alistair Bain and Dive Bomb. Lewis Craig will come home in second place. Daniel P. Wheelnut, a great race to come home in third place. CJH basically winning the championship now in fourth, with Jordan fifth. Jess Ball can only hang on to sixth place. Chris Johnson will come home in seventh. Oh no, he won't. Oh, he's got a time penalty. He's picked up 3 seconds. And that might just have sent the Dive Bomb 2 title Acorn's way. He was on course for a DB2 win and maybe extending the championship till next week. But I think that might just have sealed it in Acorn's favour. Tony came home in 9th, Jake 10th, Scottish Goat 11th, and Baza will round out the top 12. But it's that man again, Alistair, picking up the win. Been a fantastic night for him. And that moved him into 7 race wins in DBF1 history and 3rd all time. Fantastic from the Haas. Lewis came second in both races. That closes the championship gap to 10 points. But with Lewis not here, those early races he missed going to cost him dearly. Obviously, Lewis at the start of the season was doing 2 leagues and pledged kind of alliances to both and was going to do 1 week on, 1 week off, and that meant he wasn't going to win the title. He took Dive Bomb at full time after 4 weeks. I'm missing this last week. It's just going to fail away from him. Unfortunately, that's his title over. Alistair on the top step of the podium twice in a row. Daniel P. Wheelnut did a fantastic job in 3rd. And it's not classified and it's not official, but it's as done as your steak done by a Premier Inn restaurant. CGH is going to win the Dive Bomb title. Your last chance was Jordan picking up the place there. But that is it for us in DBF1. Another week of great racing. Miami was fantastic. Spain was thrilling. But we've got 1 more week to go. The finale at the Hungaro Ring. What more could you ask for? And of course, we've got plenty more action to come in the new year. Sunday is the Gran Turismo 24-minute of Daytona in the Group 3 Gran Turismo class. So if you're interested in driving in the Dive Bomb race, obviously this is sort of the pre-season phase or the practice races on the Sundays before Season 2. That is set to be announced for next year. But I've been Jack Craig. This has been Dive Bomb F1. We'll see you next week for the final time in 2025 for Dive Bomb F1.